One of the biggest problems that many people have with dividend investing is that it's a slow burn. Unless you somehow come into a large lump sum of money, building lasting wealth through dividend investing takes a very long time. You do it step by step, and it happens in different stages. In my own brief investing experience across these last handful of years, I found that there are 5 levels of dividend investing, starting from the very beginning when you first get into it, all the way to the finish line when you finally reach financial freedom. And in this video, we're going to go through each of the 5 levels of dividend investing and break each one down. And as we do, I'd love to hear from you guys. So comment below and let me know which level of the investing journey you think you're in right now. So before I started investing, I was trapped in a job that I seriously couldn't stand, and I was desperate for a way out, which is when, almost by chance, I stumbled upon dividend investing. Although I was familiar with the idea of investing and had dabbled in it here and there, I had no idea what a dividend was. And I feel like at the time, the universe knew exactly what I needed and handed it to me on a silver platter, because when I finally figured it out and when I finally learned what these dividend things were, it was like a light bulb turned on in my head and I was finally awake, which is why I call this level of the investing journey, this first level, the awakening. But anyway, guys, with this job, I was absolutely miserable, and it was a really tough time in my life, if I'm being completely honest. I was tired of being told what to do, and I was tired of having to answer to other people, especially when it came to this thing that I just couldn't stand. I needed a way out, and I wanted more control over my life and my time. And once I learned about dividend investing, I knew that this was how I was going to get it. Dividend investing became my escape plan, and for me, it was the first inkling of the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, while everyone has a different way of finding their way to investing, I think most investors, especially dividend investors, are motivated by a similar longing for freedom. I think we're all after the same thing. At its core, at least to me, investing is about liberating yourself from having to rely on others. It's about acquiring total ownership of your time, which is the only asset you can never buy or buy back. And having total ownership of your time is only made possible when you have a sustainable and growing source of income that you don't have to trade time for. At any rate, when you start to have these realizations, this awakening marks the inception of your investing journey. You're ready to start taking steps towards financial freedom, and you couldn't be more excited about it. Everything is new and there is so much to learn. I mean, like I said earlier, for me, when I first found out about this stuff, I felt like the world had suddenly opened up in front of my eyes. And while investing is a lifelong pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, there's always something new to learn, I do think you'll pick up on a lot of the foundational stuff in the first couple or first few years of your investing journey, even if you started doing this with no prior experience, which these days I think is the case for a lot of us, and was certainly the case for me. I didn't go to school for this stuff, and pretty much everything I know about investing and I've learned about investing, I've had to figure out on my own as I've gone along. But in hindsight, I wish I would have pursued this stuff more back in the day when I was actually going to school. I think learning about finance in a more formal setting would have been a really good thing for me, and it definitely would have come in handy, especially as a brand new investor. And with that in mind, I want to talk to you about today's video sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. As someone who actually didn't finish college and most certainly wasn't after a degree in finance when I was going, there are times where I don't feel the most qualified to talk about some of the topics we cover here on this channel. Because of that, I'd be lying if I said that I've never thought about going back and finishing my degree. And if you feel the same, if you feel like your lack of experience is holding you back from pursuing the career that you really want, then I'm excited to tell you about today's video sponsor, Southern New Hampshire University. SNHU has one of the largest accredited nonprofit online degree offerings in the country, and I want to talk to you specifically about their finance program. In this program, you'll learn to identify long-term corporate investment opportunities to increase shareholder value. You'll learn to apply theories of asset allocation, security analysis, and portfolio diversification to efficiently manage an investment portfolio. You'll learn how to utilize the rules and regulations for financial accounting and reporting in a global economy. You'll also learn how to generate financial records and financial statements for users in accordance with governing rules and regulations. And along with all those things, you'll learn how to analyze, interpret, and communicate financial and accounting information to internal and external stakeholders. SNHU is voted one of the country's most innovative universities by US News and World Report, and it is radically affordable, with their tuition rates being some of the lowest in the nation. Also, when you go to request information about one of their 200 plus different programs, a real person will hop on the call and discuss how the program can benefit you personally. To learn more, go to snhu.edu/Ryne or just find the link in the description to see what the current average annual salary is for someone with a finance degree and to request more free information about the program. It only takes one click to find your calling, so once again, go to snhu.edu/Ryne. Anyway, guys, like I was saying a moment ago, after the first couple or first few years of your investing journey, you should have a pretty solid grasp on a lot of the foundational elements of investing. At this point, you're probably pretty well established with your portfolio and have a collection of holdings that you think will be solid for the long term. And here at this point, you're making regular contributions to your portfolio without having to think too much about it. In other words, at this point, you're kind of on cruise control. And once you found your groove, you'll transition into this second stage of investing, which we'll call the boring middle, which is the phase where what was once new and exciting starts to become more normal and routine. Having said that though, just because you're in the boring middle of investing doesn't mean you find investing to be boring, and it certainly doesn't mean that you're no longer interested in it. You just don't feel the need to constantly keep up with every little thing that's happening in the market, and you don't need to tinker with your portfolio every day. This is what Charlie Munger would call sit on your butt investing. He used a different word for it, but we'll be nice. And I think it's actually kind of a nice spot to be in. You see, the beauty of dividend investing, or really any sort of buy and hold investing, is that you don't need to constantly be trading in and out of stocks to get ahead. In fact, the less you do, the better off you'll be. And as the saying goes, your portfolio is like a bar of soap. The more you touch it, the smaller it gets. Basically, if you own great companies, you just need to hold on to them, reinvest the dividends, and time will take care of the rest. And that may be boring, which is why we're in the boring middle here, but it sure is effective. Now, with that said, do you stay in this boring middle forever? Of course not. At some point, you'll get an itch to take yourself off of cruise control and break up the monotony of your investing routine, which will propel you into the third level of dividend investing. So when you get out of the boring middle, you'll get this second wind that will remind you why you love investing so much, and you'll get obsessed with it all over again. And it's hard to say where this second wind comes from. Maybe you've hit like a certain milestone in your portfolio that kicked it off, or maybe you've randomly stumbled upon a new company that you just can't stop thinking about, and that's what did it. It could really come from anywhere. This was the case for me. I think I'm in my second wind right now, and I blame it on Visa. Visa was the first company in a while that I got really excited about. And for a couple months, I was obsessed with learning as much as I could about the company, which ultimately led me to pull the trigger on it and grow it into what is now one of my largest positions. And if we look at all of my top holdings over here on GetQuinn, which is hands down my favorite portfolio tracking platform, and it's actually free to use. If you want to check out GetQuinn, there's a link to it in the description of the video. I think you guys would really like it. But taking a look at my Visa position here, I started buying into this company just a short handful of months ago, and it's already my 6th largest position, not counting ETFs. And I love this company so much that at some point I want to make this the largest individual stock position in my portfolio. We'll get there someday, but at any rate, Visa was the one that gave me my second win. And after experiencing this second win, I've learned that this third level of investing is a lot like the first. What for a while felt routine is now exciting all over again. And throughout your investing journey, I think you'll oscillate between levels 2 and 3. At least multiple times you'll bounce back and forth between the two before you finally reach the 4th level of dividend investing. So after years, or more likely decades, of bouncing back and forth between levels 2 and 3, boring middle to second wind, then back to boring middle, and so on and so forth, you'll arrive at the cusp of financial freedom. You're so close you can practically taste it, and every fiber in your body is telling you just retire already. You are physically and mentally and emotionally so ready for it. And at this point, you could probably leave your job right now and make it work. At least that's what you tell yourself, but it'd be tight. You'd be hovering somewhere around what the FIRE community calls lean FIRE. You have just enough passive income coming in to pay your bills, but that's about it. Here in this 4th level, which I call the home stretch, it's gonna take all your will to not walk into your job the next day and just quit. But ultimately, that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is just hang in there a little bit longer, because it will make this 5th and final level of dividend investing that much better. Now, this is the moment you've been waiting for, the culmination of decades of discipline and dedication and sacrifice. All that saving and budgeting and consistent investing over decades and decades has brought you to this point. You finally made it to financial freedom. You now have total ownership over your time for the rest of your life, and it's just as awesome as you thought it would be. With that said, though, your investing journey is not over. You may have reached financial freedom, but investing is an infinite game that you'll be able to do for the rest of your life. And as you've experienced, the longer you do it, the better it gets. So even though you've already won the game, you still get to keep playing. And maybe this sends you back to level 2 or level 3, who knows, but you can rest easy knowing that the hard part is behind you. You did it. Still though, one question does remain. How long does this all take? How long does it take to go from the very start at level 1 to finally crossing the finish line to financial freedom at level 5? And that's what we're talking about in this next video right over here. In this one, first we'll take a look at how much you need to have invested to actually live off dividends, and then we'll see how long it might take you to get there. So click right over here to learn all about that, and I'll see you in the next one.